Panic filled Riverside Park when 6-year-old Lucy disappeared. Police were called, search teams organized, but it was the quiet groundskeeper who found the clues everyone else missed. Welcome to Story Factory. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, don't forget to subscribe. Because sometimes the most unlikely heroes have the exact skills we need when everything goes wrong. Riverside Park stretched across 12 acres of carefully maintained lawns, flower beds, and walking trails in the heart of Millbrook. For 16 years, Marcus Williams had been its groundskeeper, arriving each morning at sunrise to tend to every corner of this urban oasis. Marcus was 54 years old, with weathered hands that spoke of decades working outdoors. His hair was mostly gray now, and deep lines around his eyes showed years of squinting in the sun. He was a man of few words, preferring the company of plants to people, finding peace in the quiet rhythm of maintaining the park. Every morning followed the same routine. Check the sprinkler systems, inspect the playground equipment for safety, trim overgrown bushes, and water the seasonal flower displays. Marcus knew every inch of the park, where the drainage was poor, which trees were showing signs of disease, where children liked to hide during games of tag. The families who brought their children to play saw him as part of the landscape, a familiar, reassuring presence who kept their safe space beautiful. Parents would nod politely as they passed. Children would wave from swings, but few ever engaged him in real conversation. "Morning, Marcus," Mrs. Patterson would say as she walked her golden retriever. "Morning, Mrs. Patterson. Beautiful day." That was usually the extent of it. Marcus preferred it that way. He had learned long ago that some stories were better left untold, some skills better left unused. Saturday, September 14th, started like countless others. Marcus arrived at 6 a.m., unlocked the maintenance shed, and began his rounds. The park was particularly beautiful that morning. The late summer flowers were in full bloom, the grass was thick and green from recent rain, and the old oak trees provided perfect shade for the benches below. By 8 a.m., the first families began arriving. Young mothers pushing strollers, fathers carrying soccer balls, children running ahead to claim their favorite swings. Marcus watched them from a respectful distance as he worked, always alert for any safety concerns. Around 10 a.m., he noticed the Henderson family setting up for what looked like a birthday party. Little Lucy Henderson, who had just turned 6, was wearing a bright pink dress and practically bouncing with excitement. Her parents were hanging streamers from the pavilion, while her older brother Jake helped arrange folding chairs. Marcus had watched Lucy grow up in this park. She had taken her first steps on these walkways 3 years ago, learned to ride her bike on these paths, and celebrated every birthday since turning 3 right here under the oak trees. She was a curious child, always exploring, always asking questions about the flowers and butterflies. "Lucy, stay where we can see you," her mother Sarah called out as the little girl wandered toward the flower garden where Marcus was weeding. "Hi, Mr. Marcus," Lucy said brightly. "Do you like my dress?" "It's my birthday." "Happy birthday, Lucy," Marcus replied, his weathered face softening into a rare smile. 6 years old is very special. Mommy says I'm getting bigger and braver every year. I can explore more places now." Something in her tone made Marcus look up from the flower bed. "Lucy, remember that the best explorers always tell someone where they're going, okay?" "Okay, Mr. Marcus," she chirped, and skipped back toward the pavilion. That would be the last conversation anyone remembered having with Lucy Henderson. The party was in full swing by noon. 20 children running around the playground, parents chatting under the pavilion, the smell of barbecue filling the air. Marcus worked quietly nearby, keeping an eye on things as he always did during busy weekends. It was Sarah Henderson's panicked scream that shattered the peaceful afternoon. "Lucy! Lucy! Where is she?" Sarah was spinning in circles, checking under tables, behind trees, calling her daughter's name with increasing desperation. Within minutes, every adult at the party was searching. They checked the playground equipment, the restrooms, behind the maintenance shed. Jake Henderson, Lucy's 10-year-old brother, ran from group to group asking if anyone had seen his little sister. "When did you last see her?" asked David Chen, another parent. Maybe 15 minutes ago? She was playing with the other kids by the swings, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Oh God, where is she? The initial search yielded nothing. Lucy Henderson had simply vanished. At 12:47 p.m., Sarah Henderson called 911. Officer Janet Rivera arrived within 6 minutes, followed quickly by two more patrol cars and a K-9 unit. The park was methodically searched again, this time with professional precision. Marcus watched from near the maintenance shed as the officers interviewed parents and children, established a perimeter, and began coordinating with the county search and rescue team. Sir, you're the groundskeeper here? Officer Rivera approached Marcus. Yes, ma'am. Marcus Williams. Been here 16 years. Have you seen anything unusual today? Anyone who didn't belong? Any strangers? Marcus shook his head. Just families. Regular Saturday crowd. Nothing out of the ordinary. We're going to need to expand the search beyond the park boundaries. Is there anywhere a 6-year-old might wander? Wooded areas, water features, places kids might explore? Marcus considered this carefully. There's the old creek bed on the east side. It's mostly dry this time of year, but there are some deep spots. And the maintenance trail leads back to the nature preserve, about half a mile through the woods. Officer Rivera nodded. Show us. By 2 p.m., the search had expanded dramatically. County sheriff's deputies, volunteer firefighters, and search and rescue teams spread throughout the park and surrounding areas. A helicopter circled overhead, and bloodhounds were brought in to try to pick up Lucy's scent. Marcus found himself assigned to guide searchers through the wooded trails that connected to the nature preserve. As they walked, he noticed details that others missed. A broken branch here, disturbed leaves there, patterns in the undergrowth that told stories. Hold on, Marcus said quietly to the search team leader. Can I look at something? Near the entrance to the main trail, Marcus knelt down and examined the soft earth. There, barely visible to an untrained eye, was the faint impression of a small sneaker. Size 12, maybe 13, Marcus said, running his finger along the edge of the print. Recent, within the last few hours. The team leader, Sergeant Mills from the sheriff's department, looked impressed. You can tell all that from this print? The edges are still sharp. Rain would have softened them. And see how the heel digs in slightly to the right? She was walking fast, maybe running, excited or scared. Marcus stood and scanned the area around the print. There! He pointed to a disturbed patch of ferns about 10 feet away. Another partial print. She went this way. What happened next surprised everyone, including Marcus himself. 16 years of peaceful groundskeeping had made him forget skills he once took for granted. But as he followed Lucy's trail deeper into the woods, muscle memory began to return. He read the signs like a book, a scuff mark on a log where she had climbed over, a small thread from her pink dress caught on a thorny bush, broken spider webs at child height between trees. Each clue pointed deeper into the nature preserve. How do you know all this? Officer Rivera asked as she followed Marcus through the increasingly dense woods. You pick things up over the years, Marcus replied, but his attention was focused on the trail. Something was bothering him about the pattern of signs. Lucy was moving with purpose, not wandering randomly. She was following something or someone. Then he saw it, a larger boot print in the mud beside Lucy's small sneaker marks. Sergeant Mills, Marcus called out, his voice suddenly sharp with concern. Adult footprint, size 10 or 11 work boot, walking alongside the girl, not chasing her. The search team immediately radioed for backup. This was no longer just a missing child case. The trail led deeper into the preserve than any 6-year-old should have been able to walk alone. Marcus tracked the prints for nearly a mile, moving faster now, driven by growing urgency. She's been gone for over 4 hours, Sergeant Mills said, checking his radio. If someone took her... Marcus held up a hand for silence. Ahead, through the trees, he could hear something. Water. Not the small creek that ran near the park, but something larger. Old quarry, Marcus said grimly, about 200 yards ahead. Been abandoned for 30 years. Deep water, steep sides. They moved quickly but quietly through the trees. As they approached the quarry, Marcus suddenly stopped and grabbed Sergeant Mills's arm. Listen, he whispered. Faintly carried on the afternoon breeze came the sound of a child crying. Marcus had the entire area mapped in his mind from years of maintaining the preserve's edge trails. He knew there was an old access road that led down to the quarry floor, but it was overgrown and dangerous. There's a path down on the north side, he told the team, but it's steep and unstable. 2 people maximum, and we need to be quiet until we know what we're dealing with. As they crept toward the quarry edge, they could see a man with Lucy at the water's edge. The man appeared agitated, pacing back and forth, while Lucy sat on a log crying. "That's Derek Murphy," Officer Rivera whispered, recognizing the man through binoculars. "Local transient. Harmless, but he's got some mental health issues." Marcus studied the scene below. Derek didn't seem threatening, just confused and overwhelmed. Lucy appeared unharmed but frightened. "He probably just convinced her to come see something interesting," Marcus said. "Got lost, panicked when he realized how far they'd walked." She's scared but not hurt. The rescue itself was almost anticlimactic. Officer Rivera and Marcus made their way down the old access trail, while other officers positioned themselves around the quarry. When they approached Derek and Lucy, the man seemed relieved to see them. "I didn't mean to. She wanted to see the water. I got lost," Derek mumbled, clearly confused and frightened himself. Lucy ran straight to Marcus, throwing her small arms around his legs. "Mr. Marcus, I was so scared. I thought I'd never see Mommy again." The reunion at the park was emotional. Sarah Henderson couldn't stop hugging her daughter, and the entire search team was congratulated for their quick work. But several people had questions about how Marcus had managed to track Lucy so effectively. "Marcus," Sergeant Mills approached him as they walked back toward the park. "That was some impressive tracking back there. Where did you learn skills like that?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "Army, long time ago." "What was your specialty?" Another pause. "Search and rescue, special operations, Afghanistan mostly." Officer Rivera overheard the conversation. "How long were you deployed?" 3 tours, 12 years total military service." Marcus stopped walking and looked back toward the woods where they'd found Lucy. "Came back in 2009, been working here ever since." "Why didn't you say anything earlier?" "We could have used your expertise from the beginning." Marcus shrugged. "Figured the professionals had it handled. Besides, I'm not that person anymore." Sergeant Mills shook his head. "Today you were exactly that person. You saved that little girl's life." Word of Marcus's military background and his role in finding Lucy spread quickly through Millbrook. The quiet groundskeeper who had worked in near anonymity for 16 years was suddenly the town hero. But Marcus struggled with the attention. At the following Monday's town council meeting, where he was officially recognized for his service, he seemed uncomfortable with the praise. "I just used the skills I had," he said when asked to speak. Anyone would have done the same. Sarah Henderson stood up from the audience. "No, Marcus, not anyone could have done what you did. You brought my daughter home." After the meeting, she approached Marcus privately. "Why did you never tell anyone about your military service? About your search and rescue background?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "Because I came home to forget about all that. The things we found over there. Sometimes we were too late. I wanted to do something peaceful. Something where I could help things grow instead of—" He didn't finish the sentence, but Sarah understood. "You've been protecting our children all these years, haven't you? Watching over the park like it was your mission." Marcus nodded slowly. "Guess old habits die hard." Within weeks, Marcus found himself approached by the county sheriff's office with a proposal. They wanted him to help train their search and rescue teams and to serve as a consultant on difficult cases. "We could really use someone with your skills," Sergeant Mills explained. "Not full-time police work, just helping when we need specialized tracking abilities." Marcus was reluctant at first. He had built his peaceful life carefully, finding healing in the simple routines of groundskeeping. But Lucy's case had awakened something in him, a sense of purpose he thought he'd left behind. "What about the park?" he asked. "Keep doing what you're doing. Just help us out when we need you. You'd still be taking care of this community, just in a different way sometimes." Marcus thought about Lucy, about the other children who played in his park every day, about parents who trusted this place to be safe. "All right," he said finally, But the park comes first, always. 6 months later, Marcus was training a new group of volunteer search and rescue members in the same woods where he'd found Lucy. The irony wasn't lost on him. The place he'd come to escape his military past had become where he shared those hard-earned skills with others. Tracking isn't just about following footprints, he told the trainees. It's about understanding behavior. How does a lost child move through terrain? What attracts their attention? Where do they go when they're scared? One of the volunteers, a young police officer named Davis, raised his hand. How do you stay calm during a search? When you know time is running out? Marcus considered the question. You focus on what you can control. Follow the evidence, trust your training, and remember that someone is counting on you to bring their family member home. After the training session, Marcus returned to his routine at the park. The flowers still needed watering, the grass still needed cutting, the playground equipment still needed daily safety checks. But now children looked at him differently. Lucy Henderson still ran up to greet him every time her family visited, and other children had started asking him about nature, about tracking, about the military. Mr. Marcus? 8-year-old Jake Patterson asked one afternoon, were you really a soldier? I was, Marcus replied, trimming a rose bush. Did you help people? Marcus paused in his work. I tried to. That's what soldiers do. We try to help people and keep them safe. Are you still helping people? Marcus looked around the park, at the families enjoying picnics, at children playing safely, at the peaceful green space he maintained every day. Yeah, Jake, I think I am. Marcus Williams had spent 16 years believing he was running from his past, choosing the quiet life of a groundskeeper over the intensity of military service. But on the day Lucy Henderson disappeared, he learned something important. He hadn't been running from his past. He had been preparing for the moment when his community would need those skills most. The same hands that once tracked insurgents through Afghan mountains now tended flowers in Millbrook. The same mind that once planned rescue operations now organized sprinkler schedules and playground maintenance. The same heart that once served his country now served his neighbors, one day at a time. Marcus's story reminds us that heroes don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they work quietly among us for years, using their gifts in ways we never notice, until the moment arrives when those hidden talents become the difference between tragedy and hope. Lucy Henderson is alive today because a groundskeeper remembered how to read the signs that others missed. And in saving her, Marcus Williams found that the skills he thought he wanted to forget were actually the gifts he was meant to share. Thank you for watching this powerful story from Story Factory. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard more, don't forget to subscribe and share your comments. Because there's a Marcus Williams in every community, someone with hidden talents watching over us in ways we might never know. As Story Factory, we will continue to be the voice of silent heroes. See you in the next story.